On the coast of Maine, there's a lighthouse that shouldn't be there. It's not on any current maritime chart, but on foggy nights, the beam still cuts through the dark, sweeping across water that has no ships to guide. Sailors call it Blackthorn Light. It's been abandoned since 1972, the night the Carolina Star vanished with all 23 crew. And yet, sometimes, it signals not the correct Morse for safe harbor, something else. The official record says the light collapsed during a storm. But 2 weeks ago, a coastal survey drone caught footage of it fully intact, its lamp rotating, and in the window below the lamp, a figure. Caleb Vance was the night operator for Booth Bay Coast Watch. On April 14th, 2024, at 01:17 a.m., his log recorded, Blackthorn Light, active. Beam visible at 041 degrees, pattern unknown, no fog in area. Caleb tuned the radio to 282 kHz, the old distress channel. What came through wasn't distress. Landfall, wrong coast, wrong time. Caleb froze. The accent was old New England, but the tone, flat, like someone reading words they'd never spoken before. The voice returned. Passenger list incomplete. 1 seat. Yours. Caleb checked the bearing again. The beam wasn't pointing out to sea. It was sweeping inland, across the pines, across the town. He followed it with binoculars until it stopped, right on his own watchtower, and stayed there. Caleb lowered the binoculars. In the reflection of the watchtower glass, someone was standing behind him. When he turned, the room was empty. Only the radio remained, hissing, then tapping out one final burst of code. Caleb wrote it down. It wasn't Morse. It was a name. His. Caleb launched his skiff at dawn. The coordinates didn't make sense. The charts showed nothing but sheer rock. But as he cut the engine and drifted into the fog, the outline of Blackthorn Light rose ahead, intact, whitewashed, and utterly still. He beached on a narrow strip of stone. The lighthouse door hung ajar. Salt crust coated the hinges like it had been decades since they moved. Yet no rust, no decay. Inside, the air smelled of wet rope and lamp oil, but there was something else, a faint ticking. The main chamber was empty, except for a brass table bolted to the floor. On it, a logbook. The pages were dry, and the entries hadn't stopped in 1972. The last one was dated tomorrow. Caleb turned the page. Entry, April 16th, 2024. Passenger, Caleb Vance. Arrival, 01:17 a.m. Destination, West Shoreline. Status, overdue. He dropped the book, and in that silence, the radio on the table clicked to life. beam's not for the ships anymore. It's for the ones inland, to bring them back. Caleb stepped outside. The lamp above began to turn, slow and deliberate. Its beam swept the ocean, then swung inland. Through the fog, Caleb saw where it stopped, the watchtower. And in its window, a figure. But the watchtower was 20 miles away. The figure raised its arm and waved. The beam from Blackthorn Light stopped sweeping. It fixed on a single point in the mist offshore. At first, Caleb thought he saw a ship's bow cutting through the fog, but the shape was wrong. Too narrow, too tall. It came closer. Through the pale wall of fog, something emerged. Wooden timbers lashed together, dripping with seaweed, and a single lantern swinging at the bow. Standing beside it, a man in a trench coat, soaked to the chest. His head was tilted down, but Caleb could see his lips moving, whispering. Caleb backed toward the lighthouse door, but the voice carried over the water, clear and cold. Passenger, Caleb Vance, boarding now. The lantern light flickered. For a moment, Caleb saw the timbers differently. Not a raft, but the splintered deck of a shipwreck. The wood groaned under unseen weight. And behind the man, more shapes. Dozens, standing in the water up to their necks, unmoving. The beam shifted inland again, and Caleb realized it wasn't pointing to guide the raft. It was pointing to him, marking him. The trenchcoat man raised his arm. From the shadows of the fog, a second light answered. Another beam, sweeping from somewhere far out at sea. Caleb had the sudden, sick feeling that two lighthouses were talking, and that their conversation was about him. He didn't understand the code, but he didn't need to, because when the bursts stopped, the man on the raft spoke again, louder now, with the flat finality of an announcement. Arrival confirmed. Departure 01:17 a.m. Caleb turned to run inside, but in the doorway of Blackthorn Light, the figure from his watchtower was waiting. The figure in the doorway didn't move. Caleb stepped inside, trying to pass, but as he brushed against its shoulder, the cold hit him like seawater. The smell of brine and rusted metal filled his lungs. When he looked back, the doorway was empty. Only the winding stair to the lantern room remained. The climb should have taken seconds, but the spiral seemed endless, each turn revealing another shadow on the wall, shapes of ships that never made harbor. At last, Caleb reached the lantern room. No machinery, no bulb, just a massive glass lens spinning silently in the center, casting a beam of pale green light. Caleb stepped closer. The glass didn't just bend light, it bent images. He could see the shoreline, the forest, and far inland, the watchtower, his watchtower. But something was wrong. The date stamp in the corner of the view wasn't today, it was tomorrow, and below it, 2 names. The first was his, Caleb Vance. The second, he didn't recognize, until he realized it wasn't from the logbook. It was from the radio. It was yours. Caleb's chest tightened. The lens rotated, sweeping past him, and for the briefest moment, he saw not the coast, but a room, lit by a single device, a screen, someone listening. The lens stopped on that view, on you, and the beam didn't move again. The knocking from below grew louder, 3 knocks. Then the creak of the lighthouse door opening. Footsteps began to climb the spiral stairs, slow, wet. Caleb turned to the lens, but now the glass no longer showed the shoreline. It showed the interior of the lantern room from behind him, and in that reflection, a second figure stood at his back, tall, dripping, face lost in shadow. The voice that had spoken over the radio now filled the entire room. "Passenger, Caleb Vance. Passenger, your name. Boarding complete." Caleb spun toward the stairs, but there was no one there, only the echo of the bell and the faint mechanical whine of the lens beginning to turn again. This time, it wasn't sweeping the coast. It was fixing on that other view, the one of you. The light is looking at you now. It's marking you, like it marked me, like it marked him. The beam pulses once, twice, 3 times, and with each pulse, something moves in the fog behind you, closer. Departure, 01:17 a.m. Tonight. If you see a beam cut through your window after midnight, don't follow it. But if you hear the bell, it's already too late. New stories every day, midnight PST. Subscribe before your name gets called.